orders. Is that what you're here for?
Do you want to go away?
Not really. I'm here to do what you should be doing.
Yeah? Please take this out of my mouth. I'm going to have you escorted off with security.
All right. Do that.
Prime Minister, are you worried to take questions because you saw what happened to Jacinta Allen? Are you scared of answering the tough questions? Yesterday was the first time you didn't conflate anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Is that because you recognise that a lot of the hate is from the Muslim community?
Who come and approach? Who come and approach?
Mate,
I'm gonna fucking get you.
You're gonna what?
I'm gonna fucking get you.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna
Leave.
do?
Hey, don't touch
you
it.
gonna do?
You came my way. You fuck off. You
What are you
understand?
gonna do?
You came my way.
Stay out of the camera, wait.
What now? What now? Show you? You want me to show you?
Right, one of the main interests in the debate, the Israeli police always make sure that only Muslims go. Jews and Christians are allowed to go through here. They're limited where infidels...
No Jews beyond these steps, pretty much.
No.
The only way Jews are allowed on nowadays, it's fairly new.
One place. You were arrested once upon a time because the police would say you're upsetting the Muslims and they'd get too angry, then there'd be violence, there'd be war.
I don't know, but this guy's going to get punched out.
I just got threatened by the head of news and programming of CNBC. Are you serious?
That's him there.
Why do you think you deserve so much power? Hey, Avi Yemeni, should I be scared now? Don't push me, bro. What? What are you getting violent for, man? I could push just like you can, man. Look at these thugs. They fund wars around the world and then you question them. They try not only to intimidate you, but physically assault you.
And these are the activists that lost control of the situation today. This is Antifa, the socialists, the Marxists.
Pro-Palestinian supporters are coming to the Jewish community and instigating what can only be termed as a violent demonstration.
But you're at a synagogue. Why did you come to a synagogue if it's not about Jews?
You find Palestine war criminals in there.
How would you feel if Jews went to a mosque?
Shame on you. Shame on you for conflating the two.
Why are you talking about anti-Semitism when you're not Jewish?
Because I've been impacted by anti-Semitism.
Are you a Jew?
No, people think I am, and I've been called a fucking Jew and had someone threaten to kick my ass because they thought I was Jewish, so it's impacted me as well. We are not anti-Semitic.
Are you listening to yourself?
Yes.
Jacinta, we understand it's easier to run away, but what would you say to the Jewish community for them to believe that you could keep them safe since you failed them for a year and a half? Look at that. Look at, what are you doing? Why are you blocking my way, mate? Jacinta, why are you running away from the tough question? Why are you running away? Like a coward. No Jew can believe you're going to keep him safe. You came for a photo op. Does it look like how you expected it to look? Is it bigger, smaller?
It's smaller.
Yeah.
Man, I don't need that.
You're not going to wear it?
Nah.
Wow. How are you going to do your photo at the wall? You have to wear one at the wall.
You have to?
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to look weird. People are going to look at you. We just need to get that photo.
All right, let's go pay our respects.
Can you tell us why you're still wearing a mask? Is that for COVID or to like protect your identity? Touch my... Look at her. So she's the victim now. She's the victim. Look at the victim. When have I ever been caught with Nazis?
To go up there when Posey Parker was here. I saw you with my own eyes.
With Nazis?
Yes, with Nazis.
Me?
Yes, Michael Coulston and all his mates.
You know I wasn't there on that day.
You were there. I saw you. I was there myself.
You're also somebody that can't define what a woman is. I'm not sure we'll take your witness testimony as the strongest here, but...
Here's the thing. It shouldn't matter what my definition of a woman is.
To women it matters.
Up to one person to define to others what they should do. Yeah?
Biology should, though. Are you not ashamed of what you've done in the last couple of years? If any other product in the world doesn't work, as promised, you get a refund. Should you not refund to countries that laid out billions for your vaccine?
The Lord is my shepherd.
Come from this side.
I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still water. He restores my soul and leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Are you going to apologise for getting everything wrong, from mask mandates to vaccine mandates? Dr. Tedros, this is your chance to apologise to the world for your role during COVID. Would you like to take it?
Oh,
What? But
and you too, Ruxan.
why are you picking on Ruxan? He's a person of colour. He's a protected species.
These are not real journalists. These are cooked podcasters.
This is not a real. It's a cooked.
Older people like you guys, you can't grasp the idea.
Excuse me, I'm quite young.
All right, buddy.
I identify as 19.
Why is it harmful that people want to, identify as another gender? How does that harm you?
How does it harm you that I want to identify as 19?
It doesn't harm me.
Okay, so then why don't you accept it?
I didn't say I didn't accept it.
Do you accept that I'm 19?
If you want to say that, it doesn't f***ing matter. It doesn't affect me.
Will you take back your statement where you said that I was an old man?
What?
I am home. I am home. I am home. I am home. I'm with my people here. I'm with my Australians. What do you want to do, man? I'm home. I'm home. I'm Australian. I'm home. I'm Australian. One of us, Rocket. I'm Australian. One of us. Look at you guys. Look at you guys. I'm Australian. Cowards.
Why is the Prime Minister such a coward? Does he pay you to protect his cowardice? They say regaining trust is the theme this year. Are you part of the reason why they've lost trust in the WEF and everybody finally knows who you are and what you stand for? Thank you, Dr. Tedros, for showing us how transparent you and the World Economic Forum. Many of the arguments that are made against Israel can be made about Australia. Do you agree? Are you on stolen land?
Oh, we are on stolen land, undoubtedly.
And did we colonise?
We did, undoubtedly.
So now, if an Aboriginal terrorist group committed the same atrocities, would you agree?
No, which one? I better stop, Abby.
If you refuse to move on, you'll be committing an offence. You'll get arrested for that offence.
Right, what's the offence?
Okay. Failure to move on.
Right, under which act?
Under which act?
Yeah.
Mate.
He was already arrested. He was already arrested.
Was that you? All right, mate. You're under arrest. Failure to move on.
Snitches get stitches. James, just so you know, that arrest is more real than the genocide. Do you guys cause trouble or not?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. What kind of trouble?
Breaking in there.
Really? Is that fun?
No.
Do you get in trouble for it?
Yeah.
They're throwing rocks at us. Yeah, all good.
All good.
So there we are. Early on, they're throwing rocks at us already. These are kids out late. Police are barely doing anything. Why do you need a negotiation? Can't Hamas just release the hostages?
Hamas said yes. When Hamas said yes to the negotiation, Netanyahu said no. Hamas said yes.
Do you believe Hamas?
Of course I believe Hamas. I don't.
You believe Hamas?
I believe Hamas more than I believe Netanyahu. Yes, you can quote me. I believe Hamas more than I believe my Prime Minister. Yes, no doubt.
That is wild. All right, guys. I just think it's amazing, though, that you're in Tel Aviv and you're able to do that. And that's what I love about Israel. I think it's it's a real robust democracy.
Yep. Go.
Yeah. Come. How you go, mate?
Good, man. What's going on?
Very good. Welcome to the Opposition Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This beautiful Tuesday night. It actually wasn't a bad day in Melbourne. I've got to say, the weather was confusing. I wasn't sure whether it was hot or cold. I wore a jumper while wearing a hat and sunnies, so it was a little bit confusing, but I think it was nice. I don't know. Did you get out?
No, it's been a nice day. I was mostly stuck in traffic on the Monash, but I had the window down. It was nice, refreshing weather, and it's good to have that in Melbourne for sure.
The Monash, the bane of my existence. G'day, everyone. Daniel James says. Daniel's one of the admins, so be careful. Be nice to him. Everyone say g'day to Daniel, otherwise you may get censored.
G'day, Daniel.
You were worried. I don't think he can kick you off the stream, to be honest. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, some housekeeping below us for now until I update the comments thing. I think maybe we'll do it for next week. That'll be the aim.
Oh, yeah, we've got to rejig the setup, definitely.
Rejig the whole setup. So
rejig the whole setup.
Until then, below, the comments are only coming through our YouTube channels, and they're live comments. Below Rukshan is his, below mine, below me is my one. They're unfiltered, so you can have your say. You can have a go at Rukshan as much as you want, because I know you're really angry with him. And, of course, super chats, any super chats, every super chat we will read. And we really appreciate it. You guys are the ones that help make this show possible. In fact, there's a super chat waiting, so we'll start off by reading it. Adrian, thank you for the super chat. Remember when those neo-Nazis marched on Melbourne at 1 a.m. that time? What were they trying to gain by marching that late at night, and why so late? I'm not going to try... Well, thanks for the super chat again. And I'm not going to try work out what the neo-Nazis were thinking. I think often it's really... They're just looking for the most shocking kind of footage. Because if you look at most of their protests, including the one that's made a lot of headlines lately, outside the New South Wales Parliament, a protest, right? But it's really... If you look at it, there's no one there. It's just them. And a camera. Same as when they went to, Epping in the northern suburbs in Melbourne, outside that shopping centre, or was it Northcote? One of the shopping centres, I think, where the machetes were, and, a really ethnic area. And they came late at night when it was all shut with a camera. So it's all about getting footage to share online.
Yeah,
it's about
I agree. There was a the recent one just the other day, Avi. I think yesterday they put up a video as well. I don't know if it was NSN or another group, but they were holding up signs. These guys in balaclavas holding up signs saying "send them back" at I think 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning in some place in some empty area. Like, guys, come on! This is the movement. It's just pathetic, and people are like, "Oh, brave Aussie patriots are standing up at 2 in the morning when no one's there." Seriously,
I know. Look, in the city, there were people around, but I imagine it's because there's a lot less people around. There's not much of a police. In Melbourne, the police have become kind of standard, hanging around for protests in the day. It's not very often that it happens at night. So I imagine maybe something to do with that. All right, one of my screens have freaked out, but that's all right. We will continue on the show. Again, Adrian, thank you for the super chat. We'll get to every super chat tonight. I think we have a good comment here from Facebook that I think we should read just for Rukshan. Love you, Rukshan. Sorry for all this.
Thanks,
sorry they throw all this rubbish at you. Look, most of the rubbish they throw at Rukshan, although now that's why it is funny to me that people like Vance don't stand up to that mob, because
of course
it started with Israel and with Jews, and that's why they first targeted you, because you weren't kind of joining the mob in the beginning of the whole Israel-Palestine thing. You weren't jumping ship with them. And, over time, throughout the war, more and more of those people who realised they're not going to drag you across to the Jew-hating line started hating on you. But then it also kind of turned against Indians, and we all know that you're classified as an Indian as much as you can.
I mean, look, Indians should be really happy with the fact that I actually just take it as an Indian when people call me an Indian, because I'm not. So, I don't dispute that when people are saying, I defend the characteristics without disputing it. Let's just say that. So there you go, Indians. Maybe follow Rukshan.
I'm just gonna see if I can figure out why I don't know, the display, everything's changed on the system, so I can't find where. It's just my display system here, but that's fine. We won't worry about it now. I'll fix it next time. Let's get straight into the first thing making headlines, especially here in Victoria.
Politics. I mean, a change of leadership in Victoria, rumblings in New South Wales. What is happening with the Liberal Party statewide?
And of course, a lot of unhappiness at the federal level in the Liberal Party as well. I think it's worth having a look at what these three, the three largest branches of the Liberal Party in Australia are currently doing around the leadership and the direction of the parties, because it's setting up what is, on the face of it, seemingly a different dynamic at the state and the federal level. So at the federal level, you've got Susan Lee leading the party from the more moderate end of the party. But really, in a policy direction, it seems like the Conservatives have the control of that party room. The moderates are putting up a fight, especially those inner city moderates, but are losing that battle to do things like retain the net zero by 2050 target. We know the Conservative wing of the federal party is moving on to topics like immigration next, and we know that Susan Lee's grip on the leadership of her own party, it seems pretty perilous. There are many people talking about it not being a matter of if she holds on to the leadership, it's when she loses it being the question there. So the Federal Liberal Party, where the Conservatives hold the sort of dominant hand and are pushing the party in a more conservative direction. Now have a look at what's happening in the two largest state branches in Victoria. Jess Wilson has just been elected. She's the first-term MP, she's the Shadow Treasurer, but what I just want to point out to you, she holds the state seat of Kew in the inner east of Melbourne, and that state seat sits within the federal seat of Kooyong. That is the independent, the Teal independent, Monique Ryan's seat. Look at New South Wales, it seems like the reporting is that Mark Speakman may be in for a challenge in to his position, perhaps as soon as this week, or if not in the future. Now, this is getting into hypotheticals, but if Mark Speakman is replaced, the front runner to take over that position, sounds like from the reporting, would be Kelly Sloan.
So I think look, the headline itself is obviously the leadership spill here. Firstly, in Victoria, Brad Battin, less than a year. It looks like he was absolutely shocked last night when it hit. What do you make of it?
Look, I mean, when I see what's happening with the Liberal Party, and just last week, Avi, on the show, we were talking about Brad Battin being up in the polls, and I know it's just been like an outlier poll, and it hasn't been a consistent thing, but he was doing well, let's just say, compared to Liberal leaders of the past couple of years, especially Pasuto. So, having seen all that, and now having this drama unfold with a party room challenge and him being ousted, and this new fresh face, Jess Wilson, being installed, who's a very new MP as well. Let's just, put it out there. She's very new to the party in terms of being in office. What's going on? It's so close to the election next year. Obviously, if they are going to make a change, this is the right time. But I don't think I don't understand what the Liberal Party is doing, because it seems there's all this infighting happening all the time. It seems that they're not set. It seems it's possible that there could be another challenge closer to the election, or even a couple of months from now, if this lady's not doing well, Jess Wilson. So people don't really trust them, I think, to be a party that is thinking about taking on the Labor Party seriously and focusing on issues which are important to the people in Victoria, right? So we have a lot of debt, we have a lot of issues with crime. Are they really focused on that, or are they still continuing this infighting within their party room? This is coming back towards what Pasuto was doing with Moira Deeming and all that nonsense. Like, this is all related. So it's a continuation of that. And it doesn't give people much confidence, I think, at least in the Liberal Party. The one good thing I will say is, though, Jess Wilson being a woman in this instance, she might be able to, challenge Jacinta Allen more fiercely without all the slurs that the Liberal Party are a bit afraid of. You know what I mean? So
sometimes... but my concern with her, obviously, is her politics itself. Is she a real conservative? And if you go by her history, not really.
No.
She's
all like net zero nonsense.
Net zero, for the treaties. I saw there was a whole list of stuff that she's gone for.
I think she was pro-voice.
Yeah, so
for the treaties. She does come across more like a Labour light establishment type liberal, in the same mold as someone like a Pasuto.
Apparently, she's also into the trans stuff. So this is somebody that is absolutely a Labor light. So I imagine that the view. So this is the theory that I have, and I think I'm pretty close to it. Because Brad Battin, what was the thing that he was pushing?
He was pushing. You mean in terms of policies, like tough on crime?
Tough on crime,
was
right?
his main platform. Yeah.
Tough on crime. That was his pretty much. That's what he's known for, and it's because he's an ex-copper and he could speak to it. But then, what did the Labor Party do that was clever? They
went tough on crime.
They went tough on crime. They did, adult crime, adult time, whatever. They've started to push that agenda. So now, basically, it's become another issue that even though that was the Liberal Party issue and it was the single major difference between the parties and everything else, it seems like they were racing to the bottom. So the Labor Party goes, okay, let's just make it like we're racing there. So it's just another issue like we're both going tough on crime. Do you like our version or their version?
Yeah.
So they disarmed him. They disarmed him quite quickly. And I think the party itself looked at it and goes, well, now we've got the election coming up. He apparently became unpopular, pissed a lot of people off in the party, in the parliamentary party room in his last reshuffle, which was not too long ago. And so there were people going, well, probably, all the egos in there, people that were upset from that, but also looking at it going, okay, we're far enough from an election, but close enough where we have to make a decision in the election. Is the tough on crime thing going to get us across the line? And it's probably a good bet that it won't anymore because I think Labor played it smart. Playing smart by playing on the stupidity of Victorians who don't mind getting lied to time and time again and believe the nonsense, but smart as in is playing to the rhetoric around crime. So they disarm, and a lot of the people there thinking, all right, so we need somebody that can appeal to more people. And the thing is, in today's current climate, this identity politics of having a woman clearly in the polling is showing is the way forward because everybody's doing it. Which means that the younger voters are obviously indicating that they will vote for identity politics. They will vote based not on the quality of the political leader or the policies. It is 100% about diversity.
So you're pretty much saying she's a diversity hire for the Liberals,
100%
for the purpose of the election, which is what I was saying. As also, it serves a dual purpose. Again, I think because she is a woman, and because the Liberal Party is so weak when it comes to standing up, for things. Let's say that Brad Battin was debating Jacinta Allen, and he said something offensive, and they're like, "Oh, you can't talk like that to a woman." He would cower. This is what the Liberal Party does, and they would backtrack.
Yep.
At least in this instance, having a woman go up against another woman, and again, I'm not making any sexist things here. I'm just talking about how the Liberal Party works. It might make it easier for them to actually attack Jacinta Allen more. They might be thinking.
It will. I don't know. I don't know if she listen.
I don't know if she's up to it because she's very new, right? And I know she's been around the party, and I think she was one of Josh Frydenberg's advisors or worked on the party. So she's seen a few things in politics, at least from the Liberal side. But is she up to the task of taking on someone like Jacinta Allen, who comes from the same mold as a Daniel Andrews? And, she's becoming more and more confident. She's got all her big build, propaganda going through and all these things opening up. Like you said, she's put through the crime. At least in theory, she's put up these stricter conditions when it comes to crimes and, being tough on that. So she's going into this, again, with the wind behind her, even though she's been disastrous, as the Liberal Party keeps infighting. So, as a Victorian,
that's the major problem here. Is that the way the Liberal Party is currently viewed is a party that can't keep a leader. Meaning, you're not going to know who's going to be if whoever you vote for in the upcoming election is firstly no one knows much about because we don't get enough time to get to know him. We're just starting to get to know Brad Battin. Literally, I think over the last month and a half, which means it takes almost a year to get to know a leader, and the election's in a year. And are we really going to get what we voted for? Because what is this, the third leader in 2 years?
Yeah. So third leader in, I think, Brad Battin was installed around December 23rd, something like this, around December sometime. So just before his year cycle comes through, this new one's come in. Now, what I, if I can look at any type of positive,
What,
if there is any,
Southwick's being sidelined, is that what you're happy about?
has he been sidelined? Is he completely out? Is he?
I imagine so. Listen, he's a sneaky little snake. So somehow he's going to slither his way back up to the top because I was shocked that even Battin. But this is a thing that you got to understand about both parties is that there's factions, there's wars, and everybody's just trying to keep. It's not just a Liberal Party. At the moment, it's very much the Liberal Party keeps backstabbing each other. But remember, this was the Labor Party. This was within the federal elections, federal politics. Federal Labor, remember, we had Rudd to, what was the face?
Gillard.
We had that back and forth. So it's not something kind of unique here. And that's the reason why you see weird positions given to people that you wouldn't think. Brad Battin was from the Conservative side, and you're thinking, why are you taking Southwick back up when he was the right-hand man to the last flop? But it's just the way it is. It's interesting.
I think what I wanted to say was the problem here is I think the Liberal Party is just hoping Labor does bad or Jacinta Allen is unpopular, and that is how they're going to.
And they have a woman, so that they have enough to get him.
But Labor's unpopular enough. They have a woman against her, and they might just cross over the line, which is, I think, a bad strategy because they're not showing people an alternative party that is strong, with a strong leader, with strong conviction. Like going up there and saying, we are the face of the Liberal Party in Victoria. This is how we're going to change things. We're a united team.
This is what makes us different.
This is what makes us different. There's none of that. They're literally just hoping Jacinta Allen makes a few more mistakes before the election, in the state election, and they can somehow cruise through and just win, which I think is a pathetic approach, but that's what it feels like from those of us watching on the sidelines. And again, it's crazy to say this, but I do feel like Jacinta Allen is going to just scrape through and win again, unless something drastic happens.
Colours.
Or that.
I think she's going to win by a lot. Look, you'd have to be like a crazy betting man to bet for the Liberal Party, especially in Victoria, with our history, and also just for them to win, they have to win so many seats back that it's just near impossible. And then, right as they were, even for that one poll, look like why would you do it right now when it looked like maybe people are resonating with the person you've put forward? And my theory is, again, that it was the crime thing that they took out, which they're probably right. Like in the next poll, maybe he would have crashed a little bit because Jacinta Allen took all the limelight out of his star issue. Let's read some of these super chats. Eric just gave us a super chat. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate the support. Matt Goldman says, please let it be a new chapter for the Lib return. Listen, I hate to break it to you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I don't think it is. I think this... And the thing is, a Liberal Party with zero conservative policies, is it that much better than the Labor Party? I don't even know. Like a Liberal Party that's being controlled by the left-wing faction of the Liberal Party. To me, it's just maybe a bit more of the same, maybe slightly better. Look, I'm not going to go full. I'm not going to go full. What was it, Babette, in the last election where it's a uni party. There's no difference, so we might as well help Labor. I don't believe in that. So yeah, I would prefer Labor light over Labor. I don't think that the average Victorian sees that difference.
Yeah, really. I think for the swing voters, especially like the people that will kind of decide the election, if they don't see too much of a difference between the two parties, they will go with the safe bet, which is more people are comfortable voting for the devil they know. So as bad as Labor is, more people will just be like, well, they're very similar. Yeah, this side's saying this, but they look dysfunctional. We're just going to vote Labor again because we don't want to change things too much.
And there's no way that they're going to know the other devil because the Liberal Party's never given them enough time to get to know their devil.
That's right.
Noah says, would you consider the UN? Would you consider the UN anti-Israel or neutral? I'd consider the UN anti-Israel, but there's a simple explanation as to why. The UN is just like another mob, and you know, when you look at what's the Islamic State bloc, the Arab League, you've already got, and then you've got your far left wing governments. So they shift. Like if you looked at during Trump's last administration, you had Brazil siding with Israel. Now you have Brazil against Israel because obviously they went from having a conservative to a far left wing guy.
Yeah, I think, look, with the UN, Avi, my view is, personally, like, I think it's a dysfunctional organization, much like the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
But worse than that is because they've opened up their membership to, like, all these different countries. I actually think it should be more controlled in terms of membership status, which kind of countries are allowed on voting panels on particular issues. Now, there is an element of that. I get it. But I think even overall, because it skews perceptions on certain issues when you have all these different countries, especially as the UN is mostly, I believe, funded by the West and the Americans.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really serve our interest. If I'm speaking as someone in the West, it doesn't serve our interest anymore in the way that it operates. We're better off having an organization with the Western powers, letting these other countries worry about themselves. And, you know, if they mess about, then, yeah, it might be trouble for them. Currently, how it works is you have all these smaller countries that are dubious for many different reasons, that don't share our values, holding the rest of the world hostage with their nonsense and their ideology and their religious ideology that has nothing to do with the West. And a lot of the times we're funding that nonsense. So I think it doesn't work in our favor. And add to that mix, obviously, globalists are also controlling this in the West as well and having their influence. I just think it's a bad thing for humans. I get the need to kind of have this galactic gathering of all the different countries and discuss things, but does it really serve our interest? I don't really believe so.
I agree with you. I think that the idea initially was a good idea, but the problem is that there are a lot of countries in there that do work against us, and then they use the institution that we pay for, and that we started for with good intentions. They use it against us. They use it against us on not just Israel. I'm talking about Australia. You see how many things the UN kind of dictates to us here in Australia, and all their different organisations, including the World Health Organization and all those. That get to tell us. So it affects us here in Australia, and the pandemic was the perfect example of that, where these people that we didn't elect are having a very big influence on our experience, our way of life, our living, our restrictions, everything that we went through in COVID, and it was all being justified through the UN, which is a corrupt body. I think on every level, every part of the UN, there is just major corruption. So obviously, when it comes to Israel, there's corruption, and we saw that when you're talking specifically about Israel. You have Israel and in the Palestinian territories where you have the UN organization called UNRWA. On October 7, at least 12 that the UN first denied, and then finally 12 that they admitted, actively took part in the brutal massacres on October 7 in Israel. So it is such a corrupt organization. And when we in Australia fund not just UNRWA, but every part of it, the WHO, all the money that we waste on the UN as a whole, and it's a super expensive. Also, who was I talking to that was telling me how many, was it on this show? How many people they employ at the UN?
Maybe on this show, but yeah, a lot. There's a lot.
Like, we're talking about tens of thousands in New York alone. Do you understand? Like, I'm actually going to look up the number.
Look it up. But yeah, it does come across as a massive money laundering operation where they take billions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions, let's say from smaller countries like Australia, and then use it for their, DEI style initiatives, sometimes in different countries. They use it to prop up terrorist regimes sometimes. And I don't think it serves our interest. It's a feel-good thing for many people to be like, okay, well, there's this United Nations body. But really, I can't think of anything much that they like. When you look at even the peace deal that Trump arranged, how much influence, like how much did UN take part?
Today they signed
almost
on
nothing.
Today
Yeah, they signed on ratifying the allowing international troops in. But I'm saying it took Trump and his will as the US president to get those Arab nations on side. The UN had literally no pull in that space because they're just so dysfunctional.
According to the UN System Chief Executive Boards for Coordination, CEB data, the entire United Nations system had 130, almost 131,000 personnel on contracts of 1 year or more in 2024. 131,000 people for this organization that, like the example that you gave, Trump was more effective than probably 20,000 people. 20,000 staffers are probably associated to that portfolio in the UN. And Trump and probably 3 guys managed to do far more. That's why on one side it's corrupt, another side it's a way for dodgy countries to get their agendas through and to gang up on all sorts of issues. It doesn't hold those that need to be held accountable. It's often laughable when you look at, the Security Council, who's chairing the Human Rights Council. You've got like Iran.
That's the funniest one.
That's the funniest. Like it is making a mockery of what the intention behind it all was. And it is just wasting our money, our time, our resources. Think about the amount of money that it goes to funding 130,000 people. That's on contracts for more than a year. What do you reckon the average they would be paid?
I mean, it might vary from country to country as well, right? So some of the poorer countries in Africa, because they probably count in the NGOs and workers. No, they're all paid the same.
No, that's contracts. I bet you they're all paid in American dollars. I'm just guessing, but let's say 131.
Let's just ask Grok. We need to bring up a Grok screen on the next thing. Let's do an Ask Grok thing.
What's
That's the best way to do it.
Average pay for UN? Let's see if it gives it to you. Give me a number. Base salary is a range of about 74,000 US to 97. So 75,000 to close to 100,000. So we can confidently say it's 100,000 Australian. Right?
Wow.
Average times 100. I should be able to do that off my head, but whatever. How much is that? 131. No. That's a massive number. I don't even know. It's 131,000 times 100,000. It's a lot of zeros. That's more zeros than I would know how to. That's a lot of money.
It'd be a lot of money. Let's just say a lot of money.
Wait, no.
We're going to create a screen, Avi, for the next show where we bring up Grok on screen.
Yeah, we could do that on the next one. Let's set up for next week then.
Yeah, that'll be
13 billion 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
For sure. So $13 billion. And I think I'm being like conservative on my pace.
Yep.
Anyways, let's read some of these super chats, ladies and gentlemen. What could you do? Let us know in the super chats what you would do with $13 billion better than the UN. Would you spend $13 billion better than the UN? Couldn't they probably solve one of the biggest problems, world hunger? They could that's probably enough money to solve. What are they trying to get $1 a day to pay for an African kid?
People in the comments are saying we're not very good at maths, and guys, I admit that we're not good at maths.
No good. I double checked it. I don't think I got the number wrong. I just couldn't read it. 13 billion.
Would you consider the... Oh, no, that's one. We did that one. Sorry, we just... Wilson, pro-voice, pro-treaty, UN pulled strings. Yeah, I think she's just Labour light. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for the super chat. I'm back, guys. There's now a deep divide from the public with the state Liberal Party leadership. It's a mess. Jess Wilson, now the opposition leader, her Instagram profile now has over 10,000 followers. Is that a lot or a little for that? Vic Oz 2BC, thank you for your super chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say that's very few followers. That's like, I think half my followers probably have 10,000 followers. You would think that somebody that's leading the opposition would have would be more well known. No.
That's what I mean. She's not really been in the public eye, right? They're literally presenting an intern, someone that's really fresh to the party. Like, she's not really got, not that I've seen, public leadership experience. And back in the day,
make you leader.
back in the day with political parties, what happened? The people that have been there for a while, that have worked their way up over a number of years, and now that might not be a good thing either. People don't like these kind of long-term politicians, but I'm just saying, back in the day, there's people that served in different ministries, served in different governments. They would be the ones who are eventually elevated to leadership. But it shows you the depth within the Liberal Party in Victoria is very little. They have not much to pull on. That they'll put a new face out there like this, and what does that tell you about the state of the party? I don't think it's doing very good if this is what they're falling back on. Because even the people that have been there for a long time, someone like a Southwick or whatever, they're toxic to the Victorian public. Like, these are not people you can put out there as leaders. They have this massive issue with their perception with Victorians. And like that comment said, now they're falling onto these newbies, these rookies. And can they really, pull through against someone like Jacinta Allen, who's been in the game for a long time? I mean, if you want to do a sports analogy, it's literally like putting up someone, the first draft pick that year up against, someone who's been in politics for a long time in different leadership roles and different cabinets against them, and, hoping and wishing for an upset victory. That's what we're at. That's where we're at in Victoria.
Yep. What are your thoughts on the Australian government revoking the neo-Nazi guy from South Africa visa recently? Do you guys support the government decision or not? It's a great question. It was, I might as well bring the story up because that was one of the stories we were going to touch on. And then I wanted to go back to, we'll go interstate. Actually, I don't have it here. Do I need to bring it up or does everyone know? Oh, wait, no, I think that might be it.
Some people might not know.
I got it.
Yeah. The Department of Home Affairs is preparing a brief to have a senior neo-Nazi deported back to his home country.
Yeah, Liam Tapper is in Sydney for us. Liam, authorities are putting public servants on notice with this one.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Yeah, we're told that the Department of Home Affairs is putting together a brief for senior government ministers in relation to Matthew Gruter. He's this civil engineer from South Africa who's been living in Australia with his wife for 3 years, we are told. The reason that they're putting together this brief and reviewing his visa is all to do with his alleged involvement with the National Socialist Network. It's said that he's one of the senior leaders in this controversial group. And Tony Burke, the Home Affairs Minister, has said that he really wants to crack down on what he deems to be discord here in Australia. And there's a belief that what Gruter is a part of fits into that. Now, this comes at the same time as New South Wales public servants have been reminded, according to the Premier's Department, to remember how they act should be the way that all of the community feels and believes, the beliefs that they have. After a Sydney Trains employee was suspended after it was revealed that he was also involved in this National Socialist Network as well. His employment is now under review as well. That brief in relation to Gruter, though, we could expect it as early as today to go to senior ministers, guys.
So there's a couple points to this. Firstly, my biggest problem with it is inconsistency. So I made a video on it today, and you actually featured in it, where my point there is, while I think it's kind of ironic that this group that goes on about deporting me and you because we're un-Australian enough, because we don't happen to be white, one of them is actually getting deported because he's actually not Australian. But there is a glaring hypocrisy here, because for over 2 years we've seen actual violent extremist protests across the country, especially here in Melbourne and also in Sydney. And you're telling me that the government hasn't found one person out of the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of both leftists and, immigrants from many Arab countries that have participated in either waving terrorist flags, celebrating terrorism, anything, any sort of extreme un-Australian behaviour to a similar degree, but if not much worse. And also, if you're doing it in the name of the Jewish community, who is the Australian Jewish community a lot more afraid of? If you're pretending to do it to defend us, it's not that group that go and protest alone when no one's around for a video online. It's the ones that actually rally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, chanting for the annihilation of us, essentially. And you're telling me that they couldn't find one? Mohammed Sharab's the perfect example. That's one that's been in and out of court. And there's a bunch in Melbourne that are in or out of court who, for some reason, and I think I know why, the government is just not interested in treating them like the neo-Nazis. So that's my problem. Like, if there's going to be a rule, it has to be applied evenly. And just because somebody is perceived as on the opposing side of you politically, if they haven't broken any laws, then you shouldn't be treating them any differently. But at the same time, when there are those that break the law just because they're on your side of politics, they're on the left, or they're part of the Islamic community which you rely on for your voter base, then you can't give them a free pass. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. I mean, look, I definitely agree with you on the hypocrisy side of things. Like I've said today, I have no issue with foreigners on visas being kicked out of the country or deported. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, especially when it comes to Nazis. I actually want to see more people who are not Australians, or they're not, they're on visas, who are breaking the law or taking part in things which are un-Australian, let's say, or against their visa conditions, are being removed from the country. I think a lot of people need to be deported in that sense. And, you've made a great example of what we've seen over the last couple of years, at least. There's been many extremists who don't hold permanent residency or citizenship, talking all types of extremist nonsense against Australia, taking part in anti-Australian protests where flags are burnt, or where they're talking about getting rid of the colony, for instance. So those people, if we apply the same political threshold about the views that they have on the left,
yes,
they should also be deported. This is, if it's based on political views. Now, I understand this from the basis of yes, he didn't necessarily do anything by standing there, but there's certain conditions, Avi, when you get a visa to Australia.
I agree.
Ultimately, as our system works, we might disagree with it, and we've seen Novak being kicked out. Now, I thought that was unfair personally, but there's a way that the system works, and it literally gives discretion to these ministers with very little avenue for redress via court systems. And I think that's ultimately, for a nation to maintain its sovereignty when it comes to foreigners, these are not Australian citizens or residents. The country should have a say in terms of who they let into the country for whatever reason. And a lot of people are talking about what's fair and what's not fair, and what's legal and what's not legal. But at the end of the day, I still truly believe a country should have the ultimate ability to kick people out if they want to. Now, having said all of this, there's no friends here for the Nazis, as far as I'm concerned, politically, whether it's Labour or Liberal. You're not going to see people jumping up and down in our two major political parties to defend these type of individuals. And that's the problem for the NSN. Like, this guy is a martyr, at least in my eyes, for the NSN cause. So
Yeah.
they will hold him up like a martyr and defend him. Only, again, because he's white, because they don't care about other people being treated unfairly. If this person was a person of color being kicked out of Australia because of some unfair rule, they wouldn't be jumping up and down about it being unfair. They would be supporting it. But I do understand that many Australians, especially those who are conservatives, see, these rapists, for instance, or these people, these Afghans and so on that have assaulted, women or girls here in Australia, being, going to court and still being allowed to stay in this country and not being reported. Now, that is sick. Those individuals should be deported straight away. So I don't make a distinction in this instance, because my personal view is, Nazis, these people, especially a foreigner coming here, like if they knew about his views before he got his visa approved, it wouldn't have been approved.
Yeah.
Let's just face the fact. It wouldn't have been approved. Like, that's how the system works. But because he's now vulnerable, he's been on the media, he's been filmed, he's been named, then a political decision, as it is always, has been made by the Labor Party that advantages them. Like, it's always about what's politically advantageous in these decisions. And I wish that wasn't the case, but that is the reality of how this system works in Australia. And it's not going to change anytime soon.
I think it's a privilege to come here, and it's funny to me that the people that go on about deporting everyone are suddenly not happy when somebody who doesn't that is here to harm our country is suddenly deported. Somebody that's causing division in our country, and that could be for any group. Like, I think if you come here, to be fair, I don't think you should be participating really in protest. If you're coming here on a visa, you really shouldn't be engaging in that kind of, in any kind of issue. Like, if you're saying
limited scope, like
I don't think you should come here and even engage. Like, you shouldn't be engaging even in climate change protests or whatever. Like, just causing dramas here. Like, if you have problems with the world, go take it to your country and go fight your government for it. Don't bring it here. And that's what we've seen a lot of in the last couple of years. People that have come here and that are bringing those tribal wars to the streets of Melbourne and Sydney. And I dare say they are bringing just as bad, if not far more dangerous and threatening rhetoric to the streets than this, like, sad, wankish kind of group.
At the end of the day, this foreigner, let's just be realistic.
Let's call him what he is.
Even though he's white, he's a foreigner. Is supporting ideology in Australia that seeks to deport legitimate Australians.
Yeah,
that is against the interests of Australian citizens. And yes, the government should be deporting individuals that come to our country and want to harm Australian
you
citizens.
support his deportation. You just want to see more people being deported.
I want to see a lot more people
board.
deported. I want to see a lot more of these kind of foreigners who are anti-Australian and against our way of life being deported, for sure. Do I, exercise of free speech and political speech? It's dubious again, because the politicians pick and choose. I get that hypocrisy.
Yep.
But I'm just saying it should be more consistently applied. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It should be more consistently applied.
Yeah,
there is no space in Australia for Nazis to be imported here. We already have our little fringe group.
Yeah.
And even if any of them are also dual nationals or on temporary visas, deport them as well. We don't need these foreigners in this country causing more trouble than we already have.
Saul is New Zealander, or is he South African or New Zealand? I think he's Kiwi.
I think he's New Zealander, but he's also got a link back to
South Africa.
Zimbabwe.
The funny part, the funniest part to this, the twist to this story, Drew Pavlo put on it. I saw people got a bit of offended as to Drew publishing it, but he happens to have a tattoo that says "Gamze Yavo," which means "This too shall pass," in Hebrew on his thing. And I think apparently in the past he said he's talked about it, and he was saying that he was a conservative. He's one of those ones that kind of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson started off on the the mainstream conservative, Christian conservative, and then he found his way to Nazism because that's the light. God, imagine digressing that far. And this guy's life is going to suck now because.
Well, I mean, he should take that quote and hope it applies to him. This too shall pass, mate.
This too shall pass.
And
not in Australia.
People in the comments are talking about free speech. Guys, me, as an Australian, I don't believe that foreigners on visas have the same rights and protections as I
In
do.
Australia,
Or any
exactly.
other Australians as Australians. That is how it works. You go to America, you're not the same as an American citizen. You go to any other country, they treat you differently until you become a citizen or until you become a resident. You are not the same. The same protections do not apply to you. I do not care about the free speech rights of foreigners. If they are deported in these grounds, that is a lower bar for me to think about. All right. If you want to, advocate for the free speech of foreigners, that you're literally advocating for the rights of terrorists to come here. Let's say the Islamic terrorists to come here and talk about their nonsense. We don't want to do that. We're against that. So you have to be consistent. You can't just say it's about free speech, because then you can have all types of terrorist imams coming here.
People here to undermine our country. People here that want to destroy us.
It doesn't work that way. Free speech is as little as free speech that we have is for Australians and Australian residents. People on visas, they have special rules for a reason, and there's discretion for a reason. And a country should always have the ability to decide who comes to that country, especially if they're foreigners. And unfortunately, this foreigner has found the ire of the government, and he's been made an example of. It's unfortunate in the sense that they're not consistent, but he's put himself in that position. And you have to
is this a new photo or is this an old photo?
That's an old photo.
An old photo, because there's no way he still has that showing like that. Surely he covered it up with something. Like, how embarrassing to be at your little Nazi thing when they all take off their black uniform and they're doing their little boxing or they're wrestling together, and then wouldn't it trigger one of the other ones when they see the Jew tattoo on him?
They might all secretly have Jew tattoos. Who knows? It might be a operation.
It's funny because I think in his comments there were people that were angry at Drew because they're saying, why do you have to you're basically putting it onto the Jews again? Because obviously every single time it's the Jews, but I'm like, what's the argument you're even making now that the Jews are saying that they're getting deported? So these guys, there's nothing that they can't tie back to the Jews.
I mean, look, man, if anyone was a Mossad agent in the NSA, it would be the guy with the Jewish tattoo.
Do you reckon?
I'm just saying, if there was going to be anyone like these guys are like
worst
literally
Mossad
retarded.
agent. Worst.
I know. I'm just saying this. They're all just like retarded. I feel bad. I don't know what his wife's like. I heard she's an influencer, and they're probably coming to Australia to start a new life here because things are pretty crap in South Africa as well, right? And he's potentially thrown all that away for this nonsense. Partaking in this derangement that these people are involved in. He's thrown it all away potentially, and as a man, that comes down to his judgment and the things that he's chosen to partake in. And there are consequences. I remember during COVID, Avi, they deported a few people for attending COVID protests. I remember something like this. This happened in Australia. Like, it is likely to happen. This country is crazy when it comes to politically charged issues with people with visas, whether it be Novak Djokovic. That was an international embarrassment, but they still deported him, right? And we all thought that was ridiculous. Like, I thought that was unfair personally, but I knew that the government can do these things. Yeah. We saw it with Candace recently being denied her visa, and we've seen multiple other people being denied based on political grounds, and that just happens. But
mostly, to be fair, it is always applied to the right or perceived right. Like, I don't look at Candace Owens as on the right anymore. However, the government, the Labor government, sees her as a right wing or a far right figure. Let's check out some more of these super chats. I'll keep that on screen just because it's a beautiful shot. Eric says Lib Party quickly becoming a minor party. I think you're right. I think his next comment says that One Nation effective, and
I think they're up to One Nation is up to, I believe, 17%, and they're slated to pick up even more seats come next federal election. I don't know how they're going to go in the state election. They do have some strong people in Victoria, for instance, that have run a few times now. Yeah, so they are growing One Nation, and they're finding those disenfranchised, I guess, Liberal voters who are coming across to One Nation. And, the article I saw yesterday was One Nation is the leading voice when it comes to immigration issues for Conservatives. So that shift has happened.
They're
and
consistent,
maybe that matches.
They're not crazy. They stay on point. Then they never get audience captured. They don't get swayed by either side, not the crazies on the left, not the crazies on the right, not the Liberal Party, not Labor. No one pushes them off message. They stick to their guns, and Pauline Hanson has for so many years. And that's why I 100% will be voting for One Nation.
I mean, she's got a good track record, that's for sure.
Exactly. Adrian says, do you think Australia will ever get a Trump-like figure as a leader, somebody that actually cares about Australia and will put Australia first? Well, right now there is no one I can think of that is going to take that place.
Yeah, I think the last great prime minister we had really, and this might be controversial, but John Howard, in terms of a figure that carries generational gravitas that we talk about as being a leader. And he was there for a while. The gun policy, obviously the people will bring that up. I'm just saying in terms of we look back at people like Bob Hawke, John Howard. I don't even think Paul Keating's in that vein, maybe for Labor people, but you look at a Bob Hawke and he's got that kind of figure, generational figure that we remember.
But we really
and obviously
desperately
then you have
need a Trump.
Menzies and things like this as well, like people that we remember in that way. We don't have those strong people coming through anymore, because especially from the Liberal side, Avi, because a lot of them, and sorry for my language, are cucked in the sense that they won't actually speak their minds, right? Yeah. They will not speak their minds. They don't speak with conviction. They're afraid. Everything is workshopped. Everything is pushed through how Labor Party might perceive it. So you're not getting these strong leaders come through and speak their minds. Most recently, the closest I've seen is Jacinta Price and perhaps Andrew Hastie. But even more so Jacinta
I do
Price.
like Hastie, and we'll get onto that in a second because we're going to move on. Equity, thank you for the super chat, says, we've met Avi's cool mum and family over the years. So, Rukshan, what do your parents and family think about your political work and the haters?
That's an interesting question. My parents actually, they've accepted their son not pursuing his career as a lawyer and going down this path in politics. So they've accepted it, guys. You have to understand, South Asian parents, it's all about being a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. But they've come to terms with the fact that I am just in politics.
Most likely going to need a lawyer.
Most likely going to need a lawyer. But my family, in terms of my dad, is very much into politics when it comes to what's happening around the world, and especially he's someone that was involved in following politics from a young age in Sri Lanka. And my grandfather, whose name is actually Charlie, he was also very much involved in politics a long time ago in terms of having that. No, it's a mix of different things. Sri Lankan politics is a little bit different, but they were, being intimately involved in, activism or political work. So I think maybe I have a little bit of that in my DNA. And Sri Lanka is very political as well as a nation, as a country. And you saw them storm the parliament, for instance, when people had enough. So the politics is a massive thing there. So I've got a bit of that in my DNA, perhaps. And my parents understand that. I think they're happy that I'm doing politics here in Australia, because in Sri Lanka, if I was doing what I was doing, I would most likely have been disappeared in some type of white van, if that makes sense. So this is the difference. So I'm, my parents, to answer the question very simply, they accept the fact that I'm doing political type of work.
Yeah, I've met a bunch of Rukshan's family. They are way nicer than him. Maybe we've got to get him on camera. Maybe we've got to do like a family thing.
We could do a little family thing, yeah.
Your
for
family
sure. Well,
would
you got to come to Sri Lanka with me. We can do a tour of Sri Lanka.
We'll do Sri Lanka. But are we going to disappear? Is it right after saying that if we do what we do in Sri Lanka, you'll disappear? You say, come to Sri Lanka with me.
Well, I'm not a Sri Lankan per se, so I don't talk too much about anything to do with Sri Lanka because I'm not there. I'm not. You know what I hate the most, Avi? People that have left their countries, and I'm not pointing this out. I'm not pointing fingers at you. It's a little bit different with Israel because it's an issue that pertains to Australia as well. But people that leave their countries and, they're living here in Australia, for instance, as Australians, and at the same time they are, putting their fingers into what's happening in their countries back home. And they're so detached from it. You know what I mean? So, we live in Australia. We experience.
I feel like that is an attack at me.
No, well, I mean, Israel thinks slightly different because Australia is involved as well very intimately. It would be different if Australia was involved in Sri Lankan politics. I would talk about it more, but it's not that case. So I don't even care about it to the extent of any, not even like 5% do I care about what's happening in terms of politics there. It's nothing to do with me. is what I'm trying to get at. But some people, make it their business, and I'm like, why? You're not there. Like, let the people there handle it. Or if you really want to do that, go back there.
If Australia and Sri
Your
Lanka
focus should be
went to
Australia.
war, who would you fight for?
Australia, for sure. What about you? If it's Israel and Australia went to war, who would you fight for?
Let me put to you this question: if you don't have kids, do you have two brothers?
I got a sister.
You got one sister.
Yeah.
Got one sister.
Yeah.
This is becoming a difficult question. This is what it is. If two of your children started fighting, whose side would you join? Do you know what I would do? I would use my unique position to de-escalate and get them both talking. How about that? Do you like that?
Look, de-escalation is always the way forward. But if you had to make a choice, I mean, I would obviously.
But give me a scenario in which you have to make a choice to join a war, to fight.
Well, if
Sri Lanka or Israel.
If it's a war of existence, I mean, this happened in Australia, for instance. You had during World War II, you had these kind of Japanese internment camps, for instance, that people were put into. Similar scenario, like if in Australia, let's say as a hypothetical, we got involved in some conflict against China, how many Chinese Australians are here in Australia? They would have to make a decision.
Sure,
in terms
that is a likely, a far more likely.
And that's a likely.
scenario.
That's a very likely scenario.
That's a very likely scenario, and also I would argue in that point, it wouldn't be that our government has turned communist itself. In fact, the opposite. Our government probably too Western, so there's become a conflict with China. The scenario that you're putting to me is like my two children fighting. Who am I going to join in the fight? Like, which one am I going to go kill? It's like, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to de-escalate it. I just can't see a scenario unless one of the countries have completely lost its way and somehow is traveling all across the world to bomb each other. It's like a scenario that's not even possible. China.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you could probably refer to the Tanakh, and you would probably find multiple instances of fathers in the Old Testament killing their sons or fighting their children.
Well, didn't they say Abraham? Yeah, I'm just saying personally, I wouldn't. I don't care what the Tanakh or the Talmud says. I'm telling you that if my two children were fighting, I ain't joining one of them to kill the other.
I'm just saying the history of your people involves picking a side, and so I think it's completely, for people that want to know exactly what side you'd pick, it's a completely legitimate question to ask you, even though you're trying to.
It's more
skirt answering
likely
it.
if the Yemen Jews, if the war was against Yemen Jews, I'm on Yemen Jews' side. Sorry.
All right, there you go. That's close enough to an answer.
DML translation of Avi's bambling is I would fight for Israel. I have a runny nose. I know. I got hay fever. Everyone's like mocking my nose, and my wife, she better not be watching because she'll say it's just itchy. Okay. How can you honestly get worse than JA?
Jacinta Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean. She hasn't been challenged. I know that, right? She hasn't been challenged in terms of she was installed on the back of Daniel Andrews. So, yeah, I mean, I think she's saying that the Liberal pick is worse than Jacinta Allen. Maybe that's what Matt's saying, potentially. Yeah, it's interesting. How do they do that? I don't know.
Oh, no. Thank you, Matt, for your super chat. Paul Wilson is being set up to fail. Maybe I feel like this is so generally like a year out from election, the person they're choosing is who they want to run.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say this is who they think has a chance against Jacinta Allen. Is she being set up to fail? Well, most likely, because she likely is going to fail. But thank you for the super chat. Eric, another super chat, says One Nation could be the upset victory. From your mouth to God's ears.
So they have, I think they have one nation member in Victoria from a regional area. I forgot the name. I just came on my tongue. But I believe they're going to be running. They'll definitely be running candidates, I reckon, in a few areas, especially with their growth. And they're also holding an event, I think, in Victoria in November, end of the month. So Pauline Hanson's coming as well, I believe, to that gala dinner.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she will most likely
Are you
be
going?
getting people ready for that. I don't think so. I don't think I'll be there. For that
Why
one.
weren't you invited?
No, not like that. Oh, that's the same day that the Put Australia First march is happening.
Oh, there we go. I think I need to go to that too. Maybe I need to do two things that day. Because I work. Eric, another super chat. Thank you, brothers. Rukshan and Avi, you're doing more for Australia than many. I appreciate your support and
Thanks, mate.
any sort of recognition. I certainly feel like we try doing our part, no matter how much Rukshan tries to question my loyalty.
One thing I take away from everything, Avi, is that I know no matter how much people attack me, I can attack you and they'll join in on attacking you.
Yeah.
You're the next rung down from me.
Listen, the difference between you and me is like I think I've had it for so many years that I'm like, whatever. Look, since October 7th, since it's become so much more widespread, people didn't know people still don't know what a Zionist is, but people, if you said Zionist, they actually had no idea what you were talking about. And now everybody's got the strongest opinion about it. So there's a lot more people commenting in the comments from complete ignorance, but you get used to it. So you just roll with the punches. And what's another one from Rukshan Fernando? Noah Bennett says, exactly why does the Australian government deport? Why doesn't the Australian government deport that Palestinian guy that tried to attack you last year and the other guy who threw the bottle at Daniel? Yeah, which is the point that I was making. Thanks, Nico and Noah, for the super chat. That was the point that I was making in my video today before, is there is that double standard. And no matter where you sit on this issue, so if you believe we should deport people who are coming here, so foreigners that are coming here and marching on our streets for divisive issues, hateful issues even, no matter the way you want to frame it, because no matter how you frame that Nazi group, you can apply the exact same thing to the guys that have been holding our city hostage for the last 2 years, anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, anti-Jew, whatever you want to call them. The same thing applies to each. In fact, I hear a lot of the same talking points from both sides, which is ironic because this guy, who, by the way, I love his tattoo and I can't believe we still have it up there, he's being sent back to South Africa, which in South Africa, they share a lot of his views nowadays. So I don't know what his complaint is. Maybe not the white stuff, but just the anti-Jew stuff. They support that there. So he should enjoy his trip home. But yes, if you support, if you think, I think everybody's concern here should be the lack of consistency. And fine, if you believe that free speech should also apply to foreigners coming here to undermine Australia, whether they're from Islamists or leftists, then also neo-Nazis, that is a valid position to hold. Unless somebody breaks the law, they shouldn't get they shouldn't be charged or deported. I have no problem with that view. Whatever the view is, it has to be consistent, and that applies to everything in politics. I think that if you're going to have a view about one issue, you have to be consistent. That's what pisses me off most when it comes to Israel-Palestine, Israel-Gaza conflict, is that so many of the people, even in the comments, especially on your comments, that have these views will not apply the same logic, the same argument when it comes to talking about Australia. And why is that? Why won't you do that? Because a lot of the arguments that are put forth towards Israel are also laid at the feet of Australia. And the same people, especially on the left, it's really prevalent because you can see it. It's so obvious because they don't even bother hiding it when they march against genocide and apartheid and what are the other buzzwords that they have? They march for those exact same things on Australia Day here. So if you're applying it on every issue, on every single issue that you advocate for, I think the best way to approach things is to, and I've had to learn this myself, is that when there's an issue, a political issue that I feel strongly about, you step back and you go, okay, now if I applied it to something else I'm not so passionate about, how would I feel? And do I feel comfortable in my position still? And if you don't, then maybe you need to reevaluate your position.
Yeah, I agree. Consistency is an important thing, and like I just want to reiterate that point that you made. The people who are arguing right now on the basis of free speech would not grant that free speech to an Islamist. That's an issue. Yeah.
You know what? Nowadays, it's weird. They've got weird. There's a lot.
Well, they might these days, but
there's a lot of a weird crossover relationship and like complete gaslighting and ignoring the reality, like delusional, unholy alliance that has spread from not only because it was the unholy alliance was always the far left and the Islamists. Now I can see that also moving to the fringe right, where they're justifying and making excuses and simping for Islamists. So I don't think Islamists is big, but if I think whoever it is that's making that free speech argument, think of the worst people that you think that you believe the worst political worldview, and think of the activists behind them. If you're not happy for them to be given free rein here on visas, as visitors, as foreigners, then you have to apply the same thing to the people you like. So whatever you're going to, whichever group it is that you absolutely despise their worldview, unless you're willing to get, you just got to be able to apply the same consistent enforcement or whatever it is, rules to everyone. And I'm comfortable with where I sit on this, because I actually agree with you, Rukshan, here. I think deport them all. You know, if somebody's questionable, you know how hard it is to get into America. Like, it's hard for me to get into America. I've got to go through crazy amounts of things to get a visa every time I want to go to America. Why should it be easy for people to come to Australia? This is actually a much more, more exclusive place than America. So it should be at least just as hard. And if you have things, I think if you're questionable, why should we take the risk? And Australia has taken so much risk, and we're actually paying the price for that. Now we're seeing that week by week, and it's that problem's growing, and it's not just about Israel-Palestine. It's like all the divisive issues where we're importing activists, left-wing extremists, that literally over whatever the issue of today is, they're joining these protests and disrupting our way of life here. I just don't think as a foreigner you should have that right.
Yeah.
But it's okay, again, to think that they should. Here we got a couple more. What do we have? Sonic Boom, thank you for the super chat, says, have you guys been following Pauline versus Marine's court case? If so, what are your thoughts so far? It would have been good to see Rebel cover it fully. You know what? You're actually completely right. I haven't been following it closely. I did see that Pauline mentioned. I don't know if there is an actual update.
She's got a good lawyer.
Isn't that the one? That's the one that has won lately.
Yeah, and she's been making good arguments. I haven't fully followed her, but maybe we can talk about it in the next episode of the.
You know what? Let's do that. Let's do that. We'll, I'm going to go into it, and I'll talk to some of the guys there, and just try getting a. I'm going to try just get my head around it, get some backup, find out where they're at, and let's really unpack that on Thursday. Good idea. I am actually interested for my own knowledge to know where that's for. I with these cases, just out of experience, I've watched so many cases, and until you get the judgment, like, it's great to unpack the arguments or whatever, and I haven't been watching the case, so I'll have to just listen to what other people have said about it and the reporting on it. But you're always taking it, firstly, even if you're the one in the room, you're interpreting it however you interpret it. And I've sat in many trials where I've thought, damn, there's no way you could lose this case. And this is an appeal, this one. There's no way you can lose it. And then you lose it because, firstly, as a simpleton, as a non-lawyer, you don't understand what the legal arguments are. So even if the arguments sound fully logical to us, whatever the legal thing you have to reach, if it's not met, then you're going to lose. And also, you've got to get into the head of the judge. Like, even the lawyers often don't know, they might feel good. They might feel super confident, but they all, there's always, even when they're super confident,
they always are a little bit nervous that the judge is interpreting it differently than they think they're interpreting it. And a lot of it's sitting there, like you're sitting there and you look at the judge and trying to read, how did he take that argument? Or she take the argument? But yeah, Pauline does have a very good lawyer. And I really, really, really hope she wins. But I know I don't have to tell you that. I'm sure that everyone but the haters in the comments are all going to feel the same way about that. But let's unpack that a bit more on Thursday night. Thanks for reminding me. Daniel, make sure to put that on Thursday night's show because I'm absolutely going to forget. Mitch says, yeah, Avi, who do you dislike more, the lefties or the Nazis? Damn. Do I have to choose? Is this like, who are you going to fight for? do you know when they say, if Israel and Australia went to war, who would you fight for? What about if two countries went to war that I hate both of them? Which one will you fight for? This is what this question feels like. I think we should just let them eat each other. I think that right now, the left are more dangerous. They're more powerful. They have a much bigger army ready to fight. So, you know, if the tables were turned and the Nazis had the numbers that the left had and had the alliance with the Islamists like the left had, so it's not who I dislike more. I think they're the same. The horseshoe theory, they're basically the same. But right now, I think the left, genuinely, are a bigger threat. Not because I think that the Nazis are any better. It's just that I think that they're way less powerful. Yeah.
I tend to agree. I think the left is a bigger threat and they kind of get away with a lot of things, which really needs to be addressed. What this visa thing we've been talking about is a great example of that, where they get away with a lot of people not being deported as they should be. When it comes to the Nazis, I think they're a bigger threat. Even though they're small in number, they're a bigger threat to the actual conservative movement. And it's this thing where conservatives kind of have to make a decision on where they stand. Do you get pulled so to the far fringes of the right by going along with a lot of this nonsense from this group, or do you push back against it? Because I think a lot of this NSN group, Avi, and people might not always see this. I think they are, as small as they are defining at least conservative talking points when it comes to particular issues. And there's a lot of conservatives afraid to challenge them and push back against those type of points and actually define who they stand for in this country. I'm making a lot of loud noises about that because I think it's important that we do that without falling for these extremities, because the left is actually, they're loving it, they're using it. You're seeing it in America that they're using it very effectively. It's just an easy win for the left. Literally, it's just an easy win for the left to take any type of sane argument that someone might have against policies like immigration and just be like, anything in opposition to it, look at those Nazis. And that's literally what's happening. And it's going to get worse when it comes to election time. They're going to go back to all of this, and you're going to have liberals who are very afraid then to actually say what they truly mean and push policies that are really good for this country. And it's just only going to benefit the left. And that's what I see as the biggest threat of Nazis. So, as a conservative, as someone on the right, I do think that issue needs to be addressed. But yeah, overall, the left, I think, is more dangerous to the country as it is right now.
Yep. Eric's added another comment. One nation in all states and Victoria. Let Pauline be Prime Minister. I'm down. Ethan Walker, thank you for the super chat. Says, Avi, to your point about no one knowing Zionists, you're right. Remember back in 2021, that young Aussie bloke called you a Zionist shill, and you asked him what it was, and his response was, don't know. That's right. And no one in the crowd understood what the hell was going on. Everybody came to my defense, and I dare say that there would be a big chunk of that crowd today that may have joined in. And I bet you they know as little as he did when he came up to me. It's just that thing that everybody's the fad everybody's going through is to get on against the Zionists, but they don't actually know what it means. It's, what do they call it? new thing, there's a term that everybody uses when there's a political issue that everybody jumps on. And that's been, unfortunately, that's been the one for the last 2 years. It's stuck probably longer than most issues. Although during COVID was what, probably 3.5, 4 years where, you know, the left wore their masks and their uniform. And you remember it was like, that was I used to call it the international sign of being a good person. Then it changed to the kafir. But it's just the issue of today. Adrian says, Avi, as someone that really wants to travel to America one day, is it actually really hard for you to get a visa to the US? Adrian, you might not be in my position. I am particularly difficult for 2 reasons. One, because I once got rejected on a visa, and once you get rejected a visa, so I got rejected a visa when I was like 18 after I'd gone there on a tourist visa, and then I tried to go back and get I went on an ETA, whatever the ESTA, so a visa waiver, and then I went home and I tried to get a visa and they rejected me because they thought I was trying to move there, and then years later when the whole Jim Jeffries thing happened and I went to, so once you get rejected a visa, you're not allowed to go on an ESTA again. I didn't really know that. And then I went back a few times on an ESTA visa, but then the time that I went back to confront Jim Jeffries, they called the FBI, which I got cleared, but it triggered a review of my ESTA visa, and they realized that I had once been rejected a visa, which means that I couldn't get on a ESTA visa again. So it means you have to get an actual visa. And the problem is also I do have a criminal history that the left love to talk about. And with a criminal history, then you have to, on the visa, have to go through the process there for them to clear your name. Now, I've done it a couple of times. It's fine. I can do it, but it's just a pain in the ass. I wish I could just go on an ESTA. But you know what? It's America's right to do that. That's their borders. And I think that if somebody, if there was an Avi Yemini trying to come into Australia, I think the same thing should apply. I don't think it should be easier to get into Australia than it is to get into America. That's just my view. But Adrian, you should be all right. Thank you for the super chat, unless you're like me. But you know what? Half the problem was it really came down to me being known and your criminal history. Like if it's widely publicized like it is at protests on every chopping board from leftists who come prepared, then you're going to, you can't deny you have it. For the average person, you just have no one really knows your criminal history. Sonic Boom says, Avi, if there was a war between World War II Nazis and Decepticons? What's Decepticons? Who would you fight?
from Transformers.
Transformers. I'm going with the Decepticons because I never watched Transformers, so I don't even know. I'm going with the Decepticons. Why? Is that a good? Did I pick the right one?
I think so. In the zeitgeist of things when it comes to this issue, yeah, definitely.
But you know what? That question just feels like that. And I've had it for years, and it's just like so boring, and it's so dumb, and it's so low IQ. And it's like, give me the broader thing, like give people a proper scenario that is viable, something to work with. Like just throwing this thing that you wouldn't throw at any other group of people. Like I think the example you gave is way more relevant. Like to a Chinese president, if a war broke out, who would you fight for? Because we may actually end up there soon, and there's a lot of them. But the fact that you just keep bringing that is to try trip me up to test loyalty. Anyways, rat poisoned. I love the comments. Avi is a dimwit. Your comments are actually fun.
Bring it up on screen.
Yeah, let's bring it up. Yeah.
Bring it up on screen.
Oh, wait. I don't know. I've got to do it through here. I was doing it the wrong way. Hey, guys. We'll give you a free one. That's a free one on us, on the house.
That's on me.
I pressed it. All right, couple more stories. Let's go to... let me just see what I had left, because we were talking. I think just to kind of circle back and just end the whole rat poison daughter's funny. Why is Avi's eyes bugging out? Is he on meth? I bet you rat poison's that same chick that came up to me at that rally. To just close the story about the Liberal Party in general, I think the Liberal Party, so there's going to be probably a spill in New South Wales as well. Obviously, we're not that familiar with the whole Liberal Party in New South Wales, but it seems like it's going to be something similar. And there's probably going to be a spill in the federal thing, hopefully at least. What's Daniel saying? I'm with all the stars, Equity. I don't know what we're talking about here. But yeah, so I think there is something happening with the Liberal Party. It is. I heard the ABC, I think it was that story that I brought up earlier, where they called it an identity crisis. 100%. 100% there is an identity crisis in the Liberal Party. Unfortunately, it feels like the left of the Liberal Party, so the Labor Light, are winning that identity crisis. Is that going to get them anywhere? I highly doubt it. But even if they end up winning, am I happy with a left-wing Liberal Party? Like, do I feel like it's much better than Labor? Slightly, a touch better. But the rise of One Nation, that's where the Conservatives are going. The Conservatives are going to One Nation. So I'm happy for a strong One Nation. I'm happy for a One Nation to take the balance of power. You can have a Liberal government with a One Nation balance of power. That's probably
One Nation Liberal coalition.
That's that. Even if it's a Labor light Liberal, as in if you have the current what we're seeing happen to the Liberal Party, where it is all these women diversity hires that end up getting seats, but then they're bound by One Nation. I'm down for that. That's probably this second best. It could even be better than a conservative Liberal Party in a way, just because they're also bound by the factions. I don't know. It's definitely in the So we're not completely doomed. It does look pretty dark though, because it does seem like even the Liberal Party in coalition with One Nation we're very, very far off that.
Yeah.
But I am One Nation, 100%. And the more that time goes on, and I think that's their message is resonating, their politics is resonating broadly with Australians. And unfortunately, what's happening in the Liberal Party, I don't know. Time will tell if their polling, whatever polling that they're relying on, that they're taking the party in this direction. Time will tell if that's going to pay off at all. Although Andrew Hastings, if there is a spill in the federal government and Andrew Hastings does win, I can't say I would be having this same view. Although I still think that, as much as I want Andrew Hastings to be Prime Minister, I still think that the Australian public is just not going to believe in the Liberal Party brand if they topple this Susan Ley again. So, I think that everything we've said about that part of it, the toppling of leadership now, so Victoria, then it's going to be New South Wales, and then the federal government, it just doesn't give people faith in the Liberal Party brand. So even if you end up with a good leader, the chances of winning seems low. Equity says Victoria at war with the rest of Australia. Which side? I'm going with the rest of Australia. That's an easy one.
I can easily say the rest of Australia.
I'm joining Queensland.
And we overthrow Victoria and we join it up. Yeah, we just do something different with Victoria. Definitely.
See, there you now, Equity. Now you're asking sensible, realistic questions.
Yeah, and there's lots of Victorians that we could potentially deport to Tasmania or some of the other islands that we have around Victoria. Just send them out over there.
Don't ruin Tasmania. Tasmania's actually a decent place. Have you ever been to Tasmania?
I have been to Tasmania. It's a beautiful place, but we can concentrate all the lefties and everyone in Tasmania and offer the Tasmanians refuge in Victoria. They might like that offer, and send all the communists into the wilderness of Tasmania. That might be a good trade.
That's very, very mean to Tasmania. I found Tasmania was kind of untouched by a lot of the nonsense that we see around Australia. Yeah, like their Liberal Party is still like kind of lefty, but I don't know. It just was a different world when I went there. And if you start deporting our dreck, our rubbish to Tasmania, we're going to kill the one.
All right. We'll send them off to Nauru.
Nauru. Now you're
got that deal with Nauru. We'll send off the unsavory Victorians, Labor voters, to Nauru.
Yes, I like that. Paul Murray says, "How do you guys regulate your reporting ethics?"
Oh,
What do
that's
you mean by that?
interesting. Look, I think I can answer this. Paul, I think what I've been doing really is just being very transparent about my views. I think that's important.
Yeah.
We are essentially a cross between reporters and commentators. And as long as people know our views, like people definitely seem to know what Avi's views are, and they kind of make all sorts of proclamations about Avi. And even myself now, I'm very open and honest about my views on certain topics. So even when I do reporting on an issue, you already know my personal views on this. And I think that is a more ethical way to do it. Because when you look at the state-sponsored reporters on, for instance, the ABC, which I hold to a higher standard because it's publicly funded, a lot of the times, they're very shady with their views. They try to be very careful on the programs themselves, I'm saying. But you kind of know that they're deceiving you, right? There's something else going on there. And I think that's deceptive and unethical in many ways. So, I think we're pretty transparent, Avi, with our views. And that's the most that viewers or readers can expect from us, just to know who we are as individuals. And then they can judge our reporting based on that.
Yeah, and I think people should. I respect people even on the other side, and whether they're even Islamists, even the people that I completely oppose, and I think that their worldview is dangerous and abhorrent or whatever. So the far left, the far right, the Islam. I just respect people that actually stand for their views and don't kind of fence sit and try to see where the wind. The people that most annoy me in this commentating space are people like Piers Morgan, who take a position and then jump between it and jump back on the fence and then jump to the other side because it suddenly seems more popular. I hate those people most because I think that I don't actually know what you stand for, or you don't. I believe that you don't stand for anything but being a part of the mob, being part of the popular call group. I appreciate people that will stand for what they believe in. You know what they stand for. And that's why I think One Nation is resonating with so many people. Sometimes you would think actually in the current climate that One Nation would almost fall because they haven't jumped on board this whole populist thing. Like they haven't been doing the whole Reddick and your guy, what's his bloody name? UAP or whatever they're not just jumping on the bandwagon of everything that comes up. They've literally had the consistent thing the whole time. And you would think that if you jump on the bandwagon, maybe you're going to draw more people. But I don't think that's true. I think in the case of One Nation, that kind of demonstrates that if you stay true to what you believe in, then people recognize that. And I think that that's the most attractive thing to somebody like Pauline Hanson, who carries that, who really embodies a real, somebody who what she stands for.
Yeah, no, definitely consistency. And the people are making the point in the comments that, ABC's views are very clear that they're biased in certain directions. I think the problem is that they present themselves as not being biased.
Exactly. So
they keep telling you that it's a neutral view, but it's not. It's not.
Exactly. And that's why people hate them. It's for the exact opposite to One Nation. So when somebody pretends, like I don't sit here and pretend like I'm being neutral. When people say, "Oh, you're so biased towards Israel," I'm like, yes, I am. I'm also super biased to Australia. I believe that Australia is the great country. So I'm not going to be neutral on the position of whether Australia should exist or not, same as I'm not going to be, but I wear that on my sleeve. I have no problem in telling you where I stand. The people that lie to you at ABC and tell you, no, I look at every issue from the middle and I just report factually each side, they're lying. And those people I hate. And, the Piers Morgans Piers Morgan does a more of taking a strong view and then taking the other strong view and jumping around because he's basing it not on any information besides what the popular view has become. And And my nose is really itchy. So I hope you're all noticing. Somebody can cut that up into a video and make it look like I've been on the bags.
On the, the white stuff.
Nose beers. Okay, well, one more story that happened since our last show on Thursday, which I just think is relevant. And it's kind of relevant when it comes to the whole crime thing in Victoria, which is now going to just fade away, I believe.
Good evening. Melbourne's crime epidemic has taken a terrifying turn after a man armed with a machine gun opened fire on 2 homes in the northern suburbs. Both properties were peppered with bullets in a late-night ambush while residents were asleep inside.
A violent and dangerous message delivered just before 1 this morning. That rapid fire pumped around 20 bullets into the front of a Broadmeadows home, but it didn't go to plan. Their car pulled up just before 1 a.m. and the gunman raised his weapon to fire, but nothing. He tried again. His accomplice in the passenger seat lets off a shot. But the main offender still can't finish the job. At one stage, sitting back in the car as he tries to get the gun to work. All up, he fails 5 times to fire at the house, clearly inexperienced with what's believed to be a machine gun. Almost a minute later, he finally succeeds. Before they flee.
I initially thought fireworks, but then it sounded like shooting.
Have you heard gunshots there before?
Yes, last Friday.
What happened?
What police confirmed is it's not a random thing. It's just attacking or intimidating one person.
It's believed the house has been shot at other times too.
The whole street is living with families, right? So that worries me.
7 minutes later, 2 suburbs away, the same gunman targeted another house, this one in Hadfield. 15 or so shots fired into the family home. All those bullets in 1.6 seconds, captured by nearby CCTV. It's believed residents at the 2 addresses are from the same family, but today they were reluctant to speak. Why would somebody shoot your house up?
Why would somebody like you have a job like this?
Seemed to be very, very nice, but I don't know the situation, what was, what they do, what they don't do in that.
They seem quite nice. The girls seem quite nice.
One bullet smashed through near a sign with the opposite message.
Right there, yeah.
It was a machine gun.
Really?
Somebody shot into the front of your neighbour's house.
No way.
Outside the house last year, a fight escalated into a shooting with no injuries.
I think it was just targeting one of the boys. They never found out what happened.
Police now hunting today's gunman. They are yet to make any arrests. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
My good friend Paul Dowsley, remember Paul? Listen, first correction, Paul, that is not a machine gun. It's just a rifle, but whatever. It's a semi-automatic with an automatic function, but it's no machine gun.
Machine gun sounds fun for the media.
Yeah, machine gun would have left a lot bigger holes on that, but whatever, and is a lot bigger. Besides for that, it's pretty scary escalation. It's clearly Middle Eastern crime gangs, whatever you want to call them, internal warring. But do you think they should have, we'll use Paul Dowsling's wording, machine gun bins, and maybe we can get those machine guns off the street?
I'm surprised we don't have already machine gun bins or gun bins, because there seems to be a lot of gun crime now all of a sudden. It's always been there, but it has escalated. And I thought that was interesting, that girl saying, attacking the reporter like he's done something wrong. Obviously, there are these...
Listen, I share her feelings about Paul.
I get it. Maybe she was upset about something else.
It's probably the only thing me and that girl probably agree on is Paul.
How did you get this job? But they have this is not normal, guys. Maybe that family thinks this is normal in their world for whatever reason, but it's not normal to have these suburban streets now being shot up all the time. Obviously, that guy had a lot of time. They let off one shot. He couldn't get the gun working.
That was a flaw.
That looks like it took a couple of minutes to get that going.
Just the craziness of that was happening, and so much time, and just
and he's just casually sitting in the car getting
doesn't
the gun.
Care.
That's kind of what's happening in our state now, and apparently it's just normal for the families and things. And why do you care about it? guys, it can't be normal. We can't normalize this. It's going to get out of hand.
It's already out of hand.
Regardless of any of these bans. This is why I think the whole machete ban thing's a joke, because regardless of all of this, they have these semi-automatic rifles, whatever it is, automatic rifles, machine guns, whatever, and the criminals have those weapons, and they're now using it brazenly near members of the public. It's just going to get worse. Like, we are headed to levels like maybe not as bad as what somewhere like Chicago is in terms of the homicide rate, but you're seeing open gang warfare now escalating.
I'm just glad to know that only the bad guys have machine guns.
Yeah.
Makes me feel safer. Makes me feel safer.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of super chats. Kim, Mus31 says, am I reading that way? Am I meant to be reading that some other way? Am I missing something? Anyway, it says, Kim the Bee's Knees, Beasley versus Susan Lay.
Kim Beasley, that's the blast from the past. I think, isn't he? Didn't he become ambassador to something? Do you remember Kim Beasley? Big guy.
Vaguely.
He was pretty big. I think he was a treasurer or something at one point under one of the governments.
Yes. Vaguely remember Kim Beasley. Listen.
Is he saying comparing Kim Beasley to Susan Lay? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure I'm understanding what that comment is meaning. So Kim,
bring up a photo of Kim Beasley.
No, see, this is given.
He was the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia. That's right.
Deputy.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Who is he under?
Labour, I believe, from memory.
No, with who? Who was he? Who was Prime Minister?
Was it Kevin Rudd?
Was it under Rudd? Yeah, maybe.
Before, or was it under? I'm just trying to remember now. Let me just look up. Was he Liberal?
We'll wait for the comments to tell us.
No, under John Howard. Sorry, he was a Liberal.
Oh, Beasley was under John Howard. I thought under John Howard.
No, it was Beasley.
Was Costello, or was he the?
No, Costello was a treasurer.
Treasurer. Yeah.
He was treasurer. That was Kim Beasley. That's right.
Yeah.
Man, I forgotten that era. I just remember. I remember a few.
It's a long time ago, though.
Yeah.
What year is that? It's like 1996
to about 2007.
I think he had 10 years. So maybe
2007. Yeah. Because when was it? Kevin 08? Was it? Kevin 08? Was that the year, or was it?
Testing my memory, but whatever. It was a long time ago.
It was around the same time that Obama destroyed the world, I believe.
More than 20 years ago.
December 2007 was his prime ministership. So yeah, 1996 to December 2007.
There you go. Paul Murray says, and it was all over who makes the better couscous. And then comes in the Israelis and they say that hummus was promised to us 3,000 years ago. It's ours. I just lean into all those stupid sayings. Lucas says, Avi, right before the March to Australia, did you watch the fight between Antifa and the neo-Nazi? To me, it looked like the neo-Nazis easily beat Antifa. So let me tell you this. Antifa, so I've, over the years, have personally witnessed several fights between Antifa and the neo-Nazis, and I would say so.
Hey, sorry, I just want to say I was right first time around. Kim Beasley was ALP. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so he wasn't deputy. So it was opposition.
I'm just reading some grok thing, and it's just like spitting out nonsense.
Okay, this is why you don't trust Elon. So I did personally witness many fights between the two groups, and what I'll say to you is, pound for pound, 1-on-1, the neo-Nazis were generally much fitter, much stronger. They're into training. They're not soy boy they pride themselves in being manly, whereas Antifa pride themselves in being whatever the hell that is, right? However, Antifa tends to generally have much bigger numbers, especially here in Victoria, than the neo-Nazis. Much bigger numbers. So I've seen the Nazis
retreat and get their asses handed to them and run as well, actually behind the police line as well, because everybody does it. That's what ends up happening. You know, they act tough when they've got the numbers, like they did also on that day in March to Australia, where they were pretty surprised when they got a couple slaps from the security. But when they feel like they've got the numbers and they can overpower, then they strike, which is exactly what the Antifa do. So Antifa also, when they feel like they've got the numbers, they go for it. It's just like a bullying mentality that they both have. But if you're asking which group is, on average, per person, a stronger man, it's going to be the neo-Nazis.
Yeah, I agree.
Sonic Boom says, in Trump's first term, so many of the commentators in the US seem to all be on the same page. Then one day, just like that, and everyone is against each other. Ben Shapiro, Candace, Matt Walsh, Tucker, etc. What happened? I actually think, to be, in my personal view, is it wasn't overnight. I think, so to people that, like, I watched a progression happen. It started originally with COVID. There were fractures in the Conservative with COVID. It showed people were willing to start. One, there was a group that wasn't going to trust anything the establishment said about anything. And the other group, whilst they got things a lot wrong, got the whole COVID wrong, at least for the first half, and then, at different stages kind of walked back their positions, right?
Yeah.
But then that led into the Ukraine-Russia war. And so the group that just didn't trust the narrative, were against everything the establishment said. They kind of took this weird position of just being on Russia's side about everything. And I'm probably guilty to a degree on that as well. And I've spoken about that. But it became a strong, a bigger divide between them. And then the Israel-Gaza war happened, and that kind of locked in those kind of positions. And that's the progression of the divide.
Yeah.
And now there is a fracture in the right wing, and I think one is conservative and one is less conservative. They've become this new fringe, but
yeah,
they're trying to eat the conservative movement. That's my view on it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're seeing now is this push to kind of realign what America First means, and this co-opting of the MAGA movement into making it America First, America Only, which is what a lot of these guys like Nick Fuentes, Matt Walsh.
But do you agree on how? Because Sonic.
Yeah, I agree on how that all
the timeline
transpired.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think a part of it is also they see like you have to understand what type of monumental figure, Avi, that Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
Right. There's not going to be another Donald Trump, let's just say, after his presidency. He is one in a generation style character. Like, as great as J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio might be as a future candidate as president of the United States of America, they're not a Donald Trump. So I think there is an element of these guys as well now starting to, see where this movement leads post-Trump and trying to, play into the different ideas around what America means and push people a certain way. So part of it is, I think, also around that. They see a movement in this idea of America and what conservatism is, and they want to redefine it. Now, a lot of what you talked about plays into why that kind of played out how it happened so early. But I think it was always going to happen come closer to the election time, coming up into the next election without Trump there. But obviously, it's created this what appears to be a civil war. I think it will get sorted out prior to the election, and already people are picking sides. Yep. So it'll, as people who commentate on politics and watch these things closely, it's interesting to us. But when they do go to election time, you will see a more unified message, I think, from the Republicans. At least they'll have to do that, and the Democrats will try to take advantage of this, really childish infighting that you're seeing in a movement where they've had a lot of successes, let's just say, under Trump. So I don't know if you've seen the clip of Trump being asked about Nick Fuentes on Tucker, and he answered that. I think he answered that pretty well. Like, he can talk to whoever he wants and let the people decide. And
I just don't think. Look, to be fair, I don't think Trump is watching social media or watching Trump.
No, I don't think he really
Tucker's
cares.
Perspective.
I don't think he
like, he's not
cares.
watching his interviews. He doesn't. I don't think
he
Trump
cares.
agrees with most of
No, Trump has
Tucker's views.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Tucker-
secured his legacy. He's secured his legacy.
But Trump's worldview is pretty rational on most of these issues that are controversial.
Yeah,
the
he's
issues
not to
that
the
Tucker's
extreme.
been going on. He's nowhere near there. And,
No.
you know, like, remember also, like, Trump, not that long ago, was calling him Kooky Tucker when it was an
Yes.
issue that, when it was an issue, like, that he cared about or had to do with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy that, Kooky Tucker.
He picks and chooses. He picks and chooses his battles. So right now, he doesn't see them as being anything but a nuisance. So he just ignores them.
Catherine says Hannah Beasley, third generation ALP.
Okay. There you go.
Educating us. Ethan says, thank you for the super chats. How did Andrew Tate blow up out of nowhere in 2022? Because with most influencers, it usually a slow, gradual time to get a big following. But with Andrew Tate, it seemed that he came out like I don't know. So Andrew Tate was actually an interesting phenomena. And again, I think it just fit into the timeline. So it was part of that timeline of COVID. He was pushing back on one main issue, which was like the pushback against the radical feminists and probably the trans movement, but mainly the radical feminists and the toxic masculinity and all that, and you know, men's rights. A lot of these issues that were boiling under the surface, and you know, the mainstream. So within that timeline that we discussed a minute ago, within that timeline where people started pushing back anything against the mainstream, and I think that he just managed to pinpoint certain issues. I think his solutions were absolutely flawed, and sometimes almost as bad as the people on the other side, the people causing the issues. But I think the unique thing that Tate had there that allowed him to blow up at that particular moment was we were coming out of the full censorship thing. So they tried to cancel him, but they half-assed did it. So they didn't do it like they did Tommy Robinson. So with Tommy Robinson, they nuked him, and they nuked anyone that shared him. So if you shared a video of Tommy Robinson on your Facebook, boom, your account was pretty much struck down. I lost a couple of accounts on Instagram for that. They literally just nuked you for putting a Tommy Robinson. With Andrew Tate, they nuked his account, but he had this like formula where he got everybody, because he had his Hustler University or whatever, and part of that program, which was like a Ponzi scheme, he got people sharing all his content. So his content was coming up everywhere, not via him. And because they weren't implementing that level of censorship that they put to people like Tommy Robinson prior to that, or to people that they just didn't like, he still managed to blow up because, one, they gave him the free publicity of that he was being cancelled, so he was enemy number one. But then also he was everywhere, plus everybody was rebelling against the establishment, and he was talking just at the right time about this one issue that had been boiling under. It was just like, I don't think there was anything suspicious about
his rise.
It just happened. Like, there were rises like that prior to the whole censorship. Like, if you think about Milo, you know, Lopoulos, or however you pronounce his last name. Like, he kind of had this, like, really quick rise to fame after 2016 election. And that was in the time when the internet was a Wild West and you could say whatever you want. And he just used to be, like, most outrageous stuff. And people liked him until he had, like, he blew up as quick as he crashed.
He crashed out,
And I think Andrew Tate blew up really fast. He's crashing out. Like, he's just crashing out slower because it's not.
I think he's similar to the phenomena we're seeing with Fuentes right now.
Exactly.
And a part of that is also they are actually good communicators and propagandists for themselves.
Yes.
And they play off the cancel culture really well. So not many. Some people don't survive the cancel culture attempts. Andrew Tate is someone that thrives off it, and he used that for a long time. But now his views are, he's not as radical in terms of compared to the other crazy people that talk about the same things, and he's not as interesting for people. And obviously, he's lost his way a little bit with all the scheming and scamming that he seems to be a part of. With not like, I think a lot of his supporters are having buyer's remorse. Let's just put it this way.
And not just his supporters, also his fake conversion to Islam, and like even the Muslims are having buyer's remorse.
Yeah, well, I say his supporters having buyer's remorse because he actually grifts off and cons his supporters into joining his university, and then buying his meme coins and so on. And he repeatedly does that. He repeatedly lies about things which are going on, and if you pay any close attention to him, I think a lot of people catch on. So he was just that at that time he was a guy that blew up, and then obviously right now people are more focused on someone like a Fuentes and what he's saying, and Tate's not really resonating with anyone. Like people will hear things that Tate says, and like it goes into an abyss. Nowhere. That's where he's at now, and I'm not saying he's not influential. There is still people that find him influential.
He's still pretty big, but it's not. He's
still pretty big.
He's not the powerhouse that he was.
No one is talking about what Andrew Tate's take on this particular issue is. Like even during the whole Israel-Palestine thing, he had a lot of views, but no one really. He wasn't.
Do you know what's funny? Just going back to that South Africans, the South African getting deported. The funny thing is, their whole protest was about foreign interference, and he was a foreigner. If you think about it.
He is
but like they were framing that their whole protest was against the Jewish lobby, which was really like what they're trying to say, which they say is it's foreign interference. And here you had a foreigner protesting foreign interference.
Yeah.
You've been got. Okay, Lee Simpson, thank you for the super chat, says, I do not trust JD Vance and his stance on Israel. In recent times, he has criticized Israel for voting to annex Judea and Samaria, which is their right. One, I agree that it is their right, and I just love how everyone tries to tell Israel what to do. Two, I don't trust Vance. I am very suspicious of Vance at the moment, not just because of his stance on Israel. I just feel like he's capitulating a lot to the woke right, and which is weird to me because I thought the fact that he had an Indian wife was always going to be this thing that brought him back down to like reality. And as Rukshan learnt the hard way, first they come for the Jews and then they come for the Indians. And they've already come for like JD Vance's family, but he's just like he's at best I think JD Vance is a disappointingly weak. Is he a bad guy? I don't know yet, but I have seen his interactions lately, and not specifically the one you're mentioning there. I'm talking about even the way he capitulated when he was confronted by the Groypers at the TPUSA thing. It's like, I've seen him handle reporters well. I've seen him handle situations well. He's not doing it at the moment. I'm watching him kind of, and it feels like he's just trying to keep that. Maybe he's just trying to keep that coalition together.
I think his biggest problem is it is not 100% clear, Avi, if JD Vance is the heir apparent to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Even when Trump is asked this question, he doesn't give a definitive answer if the vice president is the one that's going to be running for the presidency. So I think he is playing the numbers game, and if it does come down to a point where he might have to challenge, like let's say Marco Rubio or something like this, he wants to have that broader appeal within the Republican Party. I think he's just playing it smart in terms of
I don't think Vance is
younger people.
He's a leader. I feel like
I feel like he's not. Exactly. He's not really standing on his morals. Like if for me, if it was a pick between JD Vance and a Marco Rubio, I would say Marco Rubio.
On Rubio at the moment
is someone who's more steadfast in what he believes and what he stands for.
It's like what we go back to saying before. It's I can respect people that stand up for their views and their values, and that 100% what they're thinking. With JD Vance, there is so much speculation because he doesn't make it clear what he thinks. So in that case, I don't trust him on anything. Forget Israel. Like I just don't trust somebody that I don't know where you stand because you don't articulate it clearly. Marco Rubio is really clear. You know exactly what you get, and I like what I get. But
my only caveat to all of this is that the vice presidency is similar to a poison chalice in a way. there are limitations in terms of how you want to approach certain topics and talk about things, for sure. So I think he doesn't want to really become a controversial figure in the Trump administration.
JD Vance.
And he's just like swimming through. He does stuff to appease Trump, and he's actually the perfect vice president for Donald Trump. He's a lot better than like Mike Pence, who's a traitor. JD Vance, in terms of serving the purposes of what a vice president is meant to do, in terms of when it comes to leadership, I think he's ticking those boxes. Whether that means he's a good leader is yet to be seen. And again, I agree with you. The first point you make, the way that he's dealing with issues around his family in terms of the attacks his wife is receiving, I think that's very telling of a man. And his inability to rise to the occasion and almost sell out his wife, really, I think is problematic in his judgment. I'm not saying his views, I'm not judging him based on that. He's entitled to whatever views he wants to have. But I think that gives you an insight into his character, because I don't see Donald Trump ever selling out Melania Trump, for instance. I just don't see that happening in terms of standing up for her when things are being said. So I think that's the difference between someone like JD Vance and a Donald Trump.
Equity says, "Where's Varun from the chat? Been a couple of months." It's true. I think since we weren't consistent, we lost Varun.
Varun, come back.
Varun, we enjoyed your super chats, mate. John says, "Dear Avi and Rukshan, please do a live stream from Sydney." Why do we need to be in Sydney?
Maybe we go to Sydney and we I would like to eventually, Avi, if we continue to build this up, do like the podcast in real life.
Oh, and live shows. Yeah, that should be good.
And do a live show with some guest questions.
And hecklers. I love hecklers. I miss hecklers.
And we should, obviously, there's going to be lots of issues with security, guys. We're going to have to kick out the hecklers. It'll be a lot of fun. That's where we should aim for.
Yeah, I think we should do a live show at some point. I was actually in Sydney yesterday doing a story. Coming soon, guys. Coming soon. Watch your space. But yes, I was in Sydney yesterday, and I shall be back. But I was just there for a few hours, so don't get excited. Adrian says, Avi, do you think wokeness is going to make a comeback now that Zohan Mamdani won New York City, or is wokeness still on the decline and stays that way? No, I don't think wokeness is going to come back. I think New York, I think New York is like a unique situation. How he won like that, I don't think you can take New York as any kind of sign for the rest of the West. I think wokeness is mostly dead. Like, if you want to look, like, gauge it on things like the conversation around radical trans ideology, like even here now, I'm seeing on ABC. Did you see Media Watch did a whole thing about how, like, this is crazy. They did a Media Watch segment on how ABC has been misreporting or covering not covering the trans issues fairly since the beginning, really condemning their own news broadcaster. So I think woke is well and truly on its way to dying, if not dead already. I think Mamdani is an outlier.
Yeah, I think wokeness. I think the left learned a lot of lessons from that election, and it's not very easy for the left to learn lessons. So they'll definitely be a bit more careful.
I think the left learnt from their woke virus, or they're learning. They're gonna learn from the woke virus the lessons that the woke right didn't learn. So the right, like, if you think about where we got to, after the Trump, especially I'm talking about on the international, not in Australia. I think in Australia we didn't learn many lessons, but in America you saw woke went so far to the point where Kamala Harris was like literally campaigning for wokeness. They're campaigning for mental illness, and it cost them so badly. And we were like, the right wing conservative common sense was so far ahead, but
but then suddenly you got this like this new, surge of woke right, which seemed to not connect what they're doing to what the left did and not learning the lessons that the left did. That is like that. If the right does end up choosing to side with the woke right and choosing to go down that path, the left is going to take advantage of it, like the right took advantage of the woke left.
Of course,
and they're going to lose
because they have moved into this isolationist type rhetoric and also identitarian politics.
The identity politics, the exact same thing.
Which is very
the oppressed oppressor, where the white man is just the oppressed, and
so
yeah,
and how far that resonates with the complete American electorate, which is very diverse, let's say. And again, American elections, guys, are decided on a few key battleground states. So, it becomes really important, the message that you get across to these particular states. And Trump has been very effective, Avi, at presenting a unified vision for America. And I think that's how he gets a lot of different people on board to vote for him. People and diverse groups of individuals in America that normally might not have voted Republican, their numbers continue to increase under Donald Trump. And the Republicans really need that to actually maintain election wins, really. If you look at the demographics in America shifting as well. So this push towards this kind of woke agenda of the right will have, I believe, will have consequences come next election, depending on how they, how the leaders who are running can't come to terms with addressing those issues. So yeah, I think we went off tangent a little bit on the woke left, but it's all connected, guys. It's all connected.
Final super chat. Eric, thank you for all your super chats tonight. Gaza is a real estate gold mine. Many nations want to profit from another Suez Canal. Do you know what? I don't care how they do it. If they rebuild it and make it into a place that is no longer a terrorist hotbed, I am in support of it, no matter which way they make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to make it a separate state or whatever, they have to have a functioning economy. They have to be able to raise capital. And if they have a resource that they can offer the rest of the world, or whether it's a Suez Canal, whatever it is, a canal, whatever the people of Gaza can offer it as an export or a commodity, that people can invest in, that's at the end of the day, that's going to help the country. Like, where do they think they're going to get money from? They've been getting money all this time from international aid, literally. That's all the money that's been pumped into the place. If they want to have this independent state, they have to become self-sufficient to some extent and have something to offer the world. So definitely, like, you would expect a country, especially if they want to be independent, if that's what they want to do, to be able to offer something for that purpose. So yeah, I think they're going to have to find a way to do that.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Remember to like, don't comment now. That was too loud. I should have said that in the beginning. Like, help the algorithm, share it, and we'll see you on Thursday night.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for joining in, everyone. Good night, guys.
Say shalom.
Shalom, shalom.